The thing about having no grass is that you've got little surprises coming into the yard all the time.
Yeah.
So we missed a couple weeks, and during that time, all of my azaleas had bloomed. There's a couple of different flowers that have come out and gone already, but there's new things coming, and that's the beauty of doing perennials and doing natives, is that you don't have this explosion of color that you have with annuals, and then you have to maintain them, water them, feed them, do all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
With perennials, it's very much more subtle, and so like the violets have now kind of softened down. They're not blooming anymore, but the strawberry plants, we'll have to find some up there, have come out, and the wild strawberries are starting to feed the birds. At the same time, all of the ferns have emerged. So these are lady ferns, these are Christmas ferns, and over here we've got what's called a royal fern. And then next to that, we've got Solomon seal, is starting to bloom right here. Got little bells underneath that. And what else do we have? Oh, I do have a Jack in the Pulpit someplace in here, but he hasn't quite come out yet. So we can look for him oh, there he is. He's back here. So he's right here, but he hasn't bloomed yet. So little surprises that you can kind of go through the garden and go, oh, look, it's happening. And this area we call the shade garden. And honestly, Ted, I have not been out here for 3 weeks. There's about 3 weeds that I can see where I need to pull, and there's a couple of things I need to clip. But that's kind of my maintenance now for the rest of the summer, is no big deal. This area here has got a lot of wild ginger in it, and wild ginger loves shade. So we've got still a little bit of sun here because we had lost a big tree, and now this tree, this redbud, is starting to fill in that area. So this ginger does get a little bit of sun, but it's doing well now. And it will fill in, and you can see it's kind of actually pushing everything out. And the only thing that's popping out, you can see there's a couple of wild strawberries that, here, I'll get down here. So this is a wild strawberry, but you can see already the birds got that one right there. And we'll find one, let's see here. Yep, and it just strings itself in there, but the ginger's going to keep that all under control. I don't have to worry about it. It's under control. Then back here, this is Itea, or Virginia sweetspire is the common name, and it's starting to bloom, so it's getting ready. So you've got that little bit of blooming going on all the time. And then here, this arbor, I've got Carolina jasmine on half of it, and then I've got a native honeysuckle on the other half for the hummingbirds. And here's one of the flowers for the native honeysuckle. And the difference between native honeysuckle and the Japanese honeysuckle is not invasive, so we don't have to worry about that. And then backing up here, I've got more Itea, and the only annuals I have in the yard, I have in 2 pots on the deck, and that's it. So let me see if I can find here's some wild strawberries right here.
Yep.
You can see that, and the birds will eat those. This is great for right now for the birds, because they need kind of some sustenance for their chicks. They will feed their babies some fruit, about 30% fruit for most of the bluebirds. Carolina chickadees will not. They'll only feed their young caterpillars. And you can see back over here, this is elderberry. And this really gets pretty big. A lot of people put this in and they go, oh my God, it gets pretty big. It does. But I cut this down in half every year, and it's starting to bloom. And those blooms will have berries on them, and then the berries will feed the birds as well. You see all of our wild violets and strawberries here. They're keeping the weeds down. And by the middle of July, they're going to be almost gone, whereas the perennials come up and take over from them. So I'm letting my yard kind of manage itself, and it does get a little messier than some people can handle. But here's the good news. I don't have to do a whole lot of work. This is a native plant called bayberry, and it gets pretty big. It's going to get 10, 15 feet tall, and I cut it back every once in a while. But again, it gets berries. Almost everything in this yard will get berries to feed the birds, and that's why the birds are here, because they've got hiding places like this, they've got food, they've got shelter, they've got water. We do fill the feeder off and on, but it's not the main thing. That's supplemental feeding for birds. Right now what they're doing is they want insects, and you're only going to have insects if you've got plants that the insects can come in and either get nutrients from with nectar or pollen or something, or they're going to come in and probably chew on some of these. You can see already they're starting to chew on the violets. So they're going to be, by the end of the summer, or actually the middle of the summer, all of those violets are going to get just chewed up by insects, but my birds take care of them. We don't spray anything, we don't worry about it. So there's always an area in the yard that you're kind of like redoing and coming back and doing stuff. So this area last year we had to rebuild the pond because we had a leak. So we had to take everything out. So what I've done, as you can see, remember the ginger up there?
Yeah.
So I put a little bit underneath there to fill that area in because it's almost 100% shade. What else are you going to put there in 100% shade? So the ginger will fill that in by next year and we'll be done. And then this is called green and gold, this flower here, and it's starting to spread down and take over this area here. So I just kind of let everybody kind of do their thing. And
it looks good.
And it looks good. And I mean, is there stuff that I would like to get in and clean up? Oh, sure.
Now you look, you sit here, and in the middle of the city, you've got all this greenery, and it's quiet. I mean, you've created
cool.
buffer. Yes,
don't forget cool.
Yeah,
don't forget
you
cool.
talk about a canopy, and here you go.
Yeah. So we can. We haven't ever measured this, but you can come out in our yard and really feel the difference, especially in the summer, as far as the temperature goes, and
Yeah.
it just has a real peacefulness to it. Yeah, and we're right on William Street, so it's
Right.
So